Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. And today I want to take you through a brief overview of the fall of corporate tax. But in this fall doesn't mean that corporate America is going to actually pay taxes. It's meaning that since the 50s, 60s, and 70s, corporate America has paid less taxes. But before I get into that particular video, I do want to share a video with you guys, just little fun banter, informative from Muhammad Ali. But right after that, we're gonna get right into the video and give you guys some great financial information. So here we go.
He's without doubt the most beautiful and complete athlete I've ever seen. To others, he's a political leader, a figurehead in the battle between black and white, and yet to more people who care little about sport and even less about politics, he's one of the world's great entertainers, a character, a comedian, and a sometime poet. Here he is in all his splendor. Ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali.
Black people must do something for themselves and not always beg white people to move in the neighborhoods, but clean their own neighborhoods. And another thing, when you say integration, it comes under intermarriage too, right? All
right,
been together.
Right, sure.
And I'm sure no intelligent white person watching this show, or no intelligent white man in his or her right white
This
mind
is fair use.
want
This
black
video
boys
is
and
being
black girls
played
marrying
under
their
the fair
white sons
use
and daughters,
rights.
and in return introducing their grandchildren as half-brown, kinky-haired black people.
I wouldn't object to that.
Well, you wouldn't, but a lot of them would.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people...
And
no, this is the point.
What I'm trying to say is this. And you don't have it. You say you don't, but you don't have it. You really ain't going to have it. You're on the show and you got to say that. But
that's not true.
why would you want to do that?
Because I don't think I'm any different from you see.
Yeah, we much different.
I mean, I think society's made us different.
You know we're different. We're all together.
Society's made us different.
No, not society. God made us different.
No, we're just human beings. He made all of us.
We all, listen, bluebirds fly with bluebirds, red birds want to be with red birds. Listen, tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons.
But
tell
we
me
have
when I'm wrong.
intelligence.
We should have more, they don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right? Buzzards are with buzzards. Buzzards are with buzzards. Bluebirds are with bluebirds. They all are birds, but they've got different cultures. The eagles like to hang out in the mountains. The buzzard like to fly around the desert.
Well,
the bluebird like to fly around the trees and the grass.
There'd be certain problems a buzzard mating with a sparrow, wouldn't there?
What?
There'd be certain...
right. And we have the problems too.
No,
I don't see no black and white couples in England or America walking around proud holding their children.
That's because society...
And going out.
That's society's fault. I mean, we've got to educate people around it.
Well, life is too short for me to be raised catching hell for something like that. I'd rather go and be my own. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. They look like me. We're all happy, and I don't have no trouble. I have no trouble. I ain't that much in love with no woman to go through all that hell. Ain't no one woman that good. You understand?
I understand. Yeah, I do understand. I understand. But I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics don't want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when he made us all like we were.
I think that's a philosophy of despair.
Despair.
I really do.
It ain't no despair.
Number
one, can't no woman. Let me tell you something. I want to tell you. Listen, no woman on this whole earth, not even a black woman in Muslim countries, can please me and cook for me and socialize and talk to me like my American black woman. No woman, and last is a white woman, can really identify with me and my feelings and the way I act and the way I talk. And you can't take no Chinese man and give him no Puerto Rican woman and holler about we're in love and you emotionally in love and physically, but really they're not happy because she's going to hear some Puerto Rican music, he's going to hear some Chinese music. And they're going to be clashing all the time. It's just nature. You can do what you want, but it's nature to want to be with your own. I want to be with my own. I love my people. That's all. I don't hate nobody.
Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of entertainment there with Muhammad Ali, dropping some knowledge bombs. But nonetheless, we're going to get into this video today, the fall in corporate tax. Now, I want to go over this because I think it's very imperative, because I've been trying to encourage a lot of people to start their own business. A lot of people have a lot of great ideas. They have a lot of innovation with process improvement. They have products. They have things that they actually want to sell. And this is the way that this way a lot of Americans have become rich. They have bought something and multiplied it at a higher price than what they bought it at. That's simple, right? Now, when it comes to the fall in corporate tax, that's what corporate America has done in a sense when it comes to taxes, but not in the way that regular people know of. I mean, some of the key factors here that tax avoidance through offshore tax loopholes is a significant reason why corporations, which paid 1/3 of Federal Reserve 60 years ago, now only pay 1/10 of federal revenues. Can I say that again? They paid 1/3 at one point. Now, 60 years ago, they only are paying 1/10 of federal tax. Now, U.S. corporations dodge $90 billion a year. Think about this. They dodge $90 billion a year in income tax by shifting profits to subsidiaries, often no more than a post office box in a tax haven country. U.S. corporations hold $2.1 trillion in profits offshore. Again, that's $2.1 trillion in profits offshore. Now, most of these tax havens, they've not ever been in the U.S. Let's take, for instance, some companies that I've done a little bit of research on. And these are not to call these companies out to make them look bad, because listen, the company you may love or you subscribe to, essentially, they do it as well. Most of U.S. corporations do the exact same thing, because these are one of the loopholes in the U.S. tax code. Now, when I look at it, General Electric, which uses a loophole for offshore financial profits, earned $27.5 billion in profits from 2008 to 2012, but claimed tax refunds of $3.1 billion. Can I say that again? They use a loophole for offshore financial profits. They earned $27 billion in profits from 2008 to 2012, but claimed tax refunds of only $3.1 billion. Apple made $74 billion, because I know a lot of you guys love Apple. Apple made $74 billion from 2009 to 2012 on worldwide sales, excluding the Americas, and paid almost nothing in taxes to any country. So when Donald Trump was president, again, I'm not a Trump supporter, never voted for him, yada, 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 you get it. He was calling out all of these corporate entities that wasn't paying taxes. Like a key one was Amazon, but Apple too. But even Donald Trump only paid like $700 and something dollars, and he's a billionaire within 3-year time period. So he essentially paid nothing. $700 something dollars for Donald Trump is probably like 7 cents to a billionaire. 26 profitable. Listen to this: 26 profitable Fortune 500 firms paid no federal income tax from 2008 to 2012. 111 large profitable corporations paid zero federal income tax in at least one of those 5 years. Just take that in for a sense. So this is why I encourage people to start their own business. And we're going to get into how they essentially get away with this, because you may say, is this illegal? No, these are the loopholes. These are the gray areas that I want to teach you guys so you can too not pay taxes. Okay. But I mean, we should end tax breaks for corporations that shift jobs and profits offshore. It's time to invest in America and create jobs here. I mean, that goes without saying, correct? But look at this. Many U.S. corporations use offshore tax havens and other accounting gimmicks to avoid paying as much as I said before, $90 billion in a year in federal income taxes. A large loophole at the heart of the U.S. tax law enables corporations to avoid paying taxes on foreign profits until they are brought home. So they can make all their money they want and ship their money or keep their money overseas. And the only way they're going to be taxed is when they bring that money back home. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They do not bring this money back home. They buy properties. They have offshore bank accounts. When they go overseas, they can draw money from their offshore bank accounts when they're in America. So they don't need to do that. Now, there's a process called deferral. It provides a huge incentive to keep profits offshore as long as possible. Many corporations choose never to bring their profits home and never pay U.S. taxes on them. Deferral gives corporations enormous incentives to use accounting tricks to make it appear that profits earned here were generated in a tax haven. Profits are funneled through subsidiaries, often shell companies with few employees and little real business activity. I mean, effectively, firms launder U.S. profits to avoid paying U.S. taxes. Even though I'm using these fraudulent words, but essentially it's legal. U.S. firms can set up a subsidiary offshore, channel billions of dollars of profit through it, and make the subsidiary disappear for U.S. tax purposes simply by checking a box on a IRS form. I mean, corporations can sell the right to patents and licenses at a low price to an offshore subsidiary, which then licenses it back to the U.S. parent at a steep price, the right to sell its products in America. The goal of this transfer pricing is to make it appear that the company earns profits in tax havens, but not in the U.S. I mean, Wall Street, credit card companies, and other corporations with large financial units can easily move U.S. profits offshore using a loophole known as the active financing exception. This is how they do this. A U.S. corporation can do an inversion by buying a foreign firm and then claiming that the new merged company is foreign. You see how they do that? Have you noticed that a lot of companies they either set up shop overseas or they buy other businesses overseas and then they merge the company? All of this is about money. I keep telling you guys, this channel is to tell you that everything revolves around money. Money is the root of everything, especially in the Western world. Okay, that's just the truth. You can hate it, you can love it, but this is the truth as I know it. Now, this lets it reincorporate in a country, often a tax haven, with a much lower tax rate. The process takes place on paper. The company doesn't move its headquarters offshore, and its ownership is mostly unchanged. They have the same CEO, the same directors, the same managers, whatever. But on paper, they're operating overseas, but they're still in America. But it continues to enjoy the privileges of operating while they're paying low taxes in the foreign country. Now, if you guys were Bernie Sanders supporters, he came up with a simple solution to end deferral. Okay, I believe it was him and another representative, I believe, another congressman. But he was talking about how corporations will pay taxes on offshore income the year it is earned, rather than indefinitely avoiding paying U.S. income taxes. This will also remove incentives to shift U.S. profits to tax havens, and it will raise $600 billion over 10 years. And a lot of you, we're not understanding some of the advances that we have had because of corporate entities paying large amounts of taxes. Okay, I was reading in the Washington Post today that the number one reason taxes on the very wealthy have declined, it was the fall in corporate taxes. Okay, and some of the article reads as such. It says the main cause of the radical decline in tax rates for the very wealthy Americans over the past 75 years isn't the one that many people would guess. It's not about lower income taxes through the certain play a role, and it's not about lower estate taxes. The biggest tax boon for the wealthy has been the sharp fall in the corporate tax rate. Again, the sharp fall in the corporate tax rate. That has been the biggest boon for the wealthy. They're paying less taxes. Now, in the 50s and 60s, and 70s, many corporations paid about half of their profits to the federal government. Think about that. 50s, 60s, and 70s, many corporations paid half of their profits to the federal government. The money helped pay for the U.S. military and for investments in roads, bridges, schools, science research, infrastructures, and more. A dirty little secret that was actually reported by Richard Clarida, an economist who now the vice chairman of the Federal Reserve, once said, is that the corporate income tax used to raise a fair amount of revenue for America. So let me just show you. I got this on my email, but nonetheless, let me pop this over here very quickly. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I want to pop this up for you guys. I think it's important that you guys actually see this article here, because it's actually very, very staggering that corporate America, and mainly the people who own these organizations and businesses, are getting away with murder, but they're doing it legally. So I'm not even mad. My thing is to teach you guys, inform you guys that you can do the exact same thing. You know, we can cry about it, we can argue about it, but it's not going to change anything. So let me show you this graph very quickly of how they have essentially have done a sharp decline in the amount of taxes that they actually pay. I'm still setting this up. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. So as we're looking at this, ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure you can see the years here. If we look back in the 1950s and you see the corporate tax rate in the U.S. as share of the GDP was all the way up to 6%. Like it jumped in the 1950s to 6%. And ever since the 50s, it's had a very, very sharp decline. Okay. Now you notice right between 2000 and 2010, there was a spike, and that was because of, you know, the recession nonetheless. But then ever since 2010, it's been going down again. It almost looks like a stock that's never going to return. It's like a stock that's never going to bounce back. So that's important that you guys understand this. This is the reason why this is a travesty. But again, I must point out, this is very, very legal. Okay. Very, very legal. Now, since the mid 20th century, however, politicians on both political parties have supported cuts in the corporate tax rate. See, the Republicans tell you, well, you know, we're going to keep taxes the same for the filthy rich because they're the ones who are creating the jobs. And then if we don't have jobs and you guys are homeless and poor. Then the Democrats say, no, we're going to raise taxes on the filthy rich and, you know, the high middle class in order to generate more income and revenue for America to, you know, make the military better, increase public transportation and across Atlantic, you know, economy streams. I mean, it's such a big lie that if you guys just get a good CPA or become a CPA or get your heads inside of the tax books, then you will understand all of these loopholes. Matter of fact, there's books out there that say tax loopholes. I mean, I love the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series of all the different people and experts they have on there because they are revealing the same exact things that made them rich. They are. Again, politicians on both political parties have supported cuts in the corporate tax rate, often under intense lobbying from corporate America. And what do you think corporate America is giving these politicians in order for them to keep tax rates low for them? Money. It's all about money. The cuts have been so large, including with President Trump in the 2017 tax overhaul. At least 55 large companies paid zero federal income tax last year. If you notice, under Trump, the middle class taxes rose while the 1%ers, the 10%ers, the 5%ers, whatever percent, those rich people pay less in taxes. Now, according to the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, among them, just to name a couple, was Archer Daniels, Booz Allen Hamilton, FedEx, HP, Interpublic, Nike, and Excel Energy, just to name a few. Okay. Right now, the U.S. raises less corporate tax revenue as a share of economic output than almost all other advanced economies. They're talking about the Western world here. Now, the justification for the tax cuts have often been the economy as a whole will benefit. The lower corporate tax would lead to company expansion. Think about this. The justification for tax cuts has often been the economy as a whole will benefit. Like, oh, if we cut taxes for corporate America, the filthy rich, the lower the corporate taxes will lead to company expansion, which leads to what? More jobs and higher income. But it hasn't worked out that way. Instead, economic growth has been has been less than or mediocrity. I can't even say this word. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Since the 1970s, and incomes have grown even more slowly than the economy for every group except the wealthy. Let me say that again. Incomes have grown even more slowly than the economy for every group except the wealthy. This is what they're not telling you. And I think it's very, very imperative that you guys understand what's going on. And this is why I'm pushing you guys to start your own LLC, to start your own corporate S companies. Now, when I'm looking at this and I'm giving this a look, cumulative change in income since 1980. Look how the rate has slowly climbed per the economy. When we're talking about the gross domestic product, the GDP. And if you look at every line, see the bottom 50% of America, we're the bottom line. And then the middle class is that middle line, as we can tell right here. But then the economy, because corporate America has grown slightly. So our paychecks, our jobs are actually going slower than the economy. So what's pushing the economy above us? Corporate America giving kickbacks to politicians. I mean, to say the least. Now, I just have to point that out because, again, this video is about encouraging you to start your own business because this is how you essentially don't pay taxes. This is a way. Now, of course, just starting your own business doesn't equate to you not paying taxes. No. It doesn't even equate to you paying less taxes. You have to start your business the right way and structure your business the right way in order for you to pay a less tax, no tax, and sometimes even get a return because you started a business. Okay. Good morning, Miss Curly Girl. Good morning, Daniels, and good morning, Learning Every Day. Glad to see everybody in the chat today. We're talking about the fall in corporate taxes and how essentially Americans are getting robbed because we don't start businesses. Everybody should be their own entrepreneur. You should be a multi-member entrepreneur in order to avoid taxes because corporate America has been doing it for years. Corporate America has been doing it for years. And for you guys just tuning in, I just want to show you how corporate tax over the past, 50, 60 years have declined. These are the corporate tax since the 50s. They were paying upwards of 6%. Now they're paying less than 1%. Some of these corporations, as I named before early in this, have not paid any tax. So a lot of Americans, everyday Americans, low income earners, middle income earners, and some high income earners are crying or lobbying or trying to contact a congressman. Your congressmen are in on it. They're the ones voting against raising taxes against corporate America. And then for some of you who are working for corporate America, you're complaining about your own CEOs and founders and owners. Guess what? Don't get upset. Let me just tell you a little bit. If you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat them, join them. This is the one phrase that you can use when it comes to this. If you can't beat them, join them. These are the loopholes. These are the tax havens. These are the strategies that the filthy rich has been using. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Not all of the people who are rich were born rich. They got rich and they figured out a way to stay rich. So this is just a method. This is just some advice. Start your own business, but make sure it's multi-member. Get a best friend you can trust, a brother, a sister, someone who has the exact same thing to lose as you. All of us have all these great ideas. We have all of these innovative ways to do things. Make it a business. And then we can start building on how to avoid paying taxes legally. Because these billionaires and millionaires out here, there's very few of them who are actually involved themselves in tax evasion. Very few. Others, they're smart enough to use tax loopholes and tax havens. So don't be fooled that these guys are doing fraudulent things. I mean, corporate taxes are such an important part of the overall taxes paid by the wealthy because much of their holdings tend to be stocks. That's where they put their money at. They're putting their money in stocks. They're putting their money in Bitcoin. They're putting their money in commodities. They're putting their money overseas. Now, as the owners of companies, they are effectively paying corporate taxes. Most of their income doesn't come through a salary or bonus. It comes from the returns on their wealth. I mean, the only sizable tax for these billionaires is the corporate tax they pay through their firms. The main reason why the U.S. tax system was so progressive before the 1980s is because of heavy taxes on corporate profits. I mean, even President Joe Biden is now trying to reserve some of the decline in corporate taxes. His plan will raise the corporate tax, punish companies that will move profits overseas, and introduce a rule meant to prevent companies from paying zero tax, among other things. The money will help pay for this infrastructure plan. It's honest, it's fair, it's fiscally responsible, and it pays for what we need. That's what Biden said. Experts and critics are already raising legitimate questions about his plan. And there will clearly be a debate about it. I mean, Biden said he was open to compromising and other ideas. You see that word compromise, right? Compromise and other ideas. But one part of this criticism is pretty clear and inconsistent with the facts. The long-term decline in corporate taxes doesn't seem to have provided much of a benefit for all of us Americans. It hasn't. Because corporate America is paying less taxes, we're not better off. We were better off when they were paying more taxes. And if you believe that Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or any president before them or after them are going to try to hurt corporate America with raising their taxes, they're not. They're not. This is how their campaigns get funded. This is how their slush funds get funded. This is how they, as politicians, who most of them, believe it or not, don't get paid over $100,000. Don't forget, this is the federal government. You can look at the the GSA scale, the pay scales, the GS scale, all of these different scales they have out there. And even your congressmen, some of your lobbyists, some of your senators, they make a little bit over 100,000. So the question that you may have is, for people who are making 120, 150,000, I know people who make that amount of money, but they're not millionaires. How are they becoming millionaires? You know, all of those politicians who got all of those donations, they raised 10, 15, $50 million. I have a question for you guys. What happens to that money when they don't win? What happens to that money when they don't win? When Bernie Sanders didn't win the presidency, what happened to the money that was donated to him? When Andrew Yang was running for president and didn't win, where's all that money that was donated to him? So if you believe that these politicians are going to raise corporate tax to a significant amount to help the infrastructure of America, you're wrong. Ever since the 50s and 60s, the people who are paying the majority of the tax are low income and middle income workers, Americans. We're the ones who are driving this country. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you, if you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a product, if you have a muffin, a cake, a cookie, start a freaking business. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you something. Stay with me. I'm really going to show you something. I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna tell you. I know, I'm engaged, but I'm still single. And I think it's imperative that a lot of times people talk stuff, but on this channel, ladies and gentlemen, I like to show you stuff. So I'm gonna show you what I received. I'm gonna show you what I received. I'm going to my bank account here on USAA, and I'm going to show my bank account. Not how much money I have. No. Nobody needs to know that. But I'm going to show you, okay, because you're going to see some of my purchases here. Like, God, I do spend a lot of money. But I'm going to show you my tax return. I sure am. Okay. There we go. It's going to say federal tax return at the top. Let me see if I got any incriminating business on here. And no. Okay, cool. Are we ready to see this? Because a guy of my stature, being a single man, I should not get a tax return. I should be paying high taxes. But I started a business, and I think it is right to show my viewers, my subscribers, the people who listen to me each and every day, me run my mouth to show you this. I'm about to show it. My heart is beating fast. But nonetheless, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I didn't cut it out. My bad. Sorry. There it is. If you look at the very, very top, that is my tax return. It says federal tax. You see federal tax? $5,793 of a return. That's what I got. That is what I have received. And you're looking at all the things I have done: Robinhood, American Express, Cash App, American Express. If you see, everything I do is dealing with money. You see money coming in, you see money going out. But that's federal tax return. So how did I do that? Easy. I started a business. I made my fiance, a multi-member, and I created a website. Have I generated any money, any income from that website? Yes. But where's the loophole? The loophole is I spent more than I made. Well, how did you do that? I'm just going to give you something that Amazon does. Anytime that Amazon gets into a certain profit margin, they build a new building. So on my behalf, because a lot of my business is virtual, every time I started to see profit. Now, granted, since I'm a multi-member, I have employees. And as a CEO, I am an employee. So I have to pay myself, right? Okay. So with that being said, any profit other than paying the employees of my company, I built a new office, which also that office is located where? Inside of my home, right? I built out a 5th bedroom with a window and a closet, and I'm going to make it my studio. I'm going to make it my office. But because of that office, and it started last year, I can claim that on my taxes. And any upgrades to that office, I can claim that on my taxes. And then all the while still increasing the value of my home. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This is Financial Literacy 101. You got to learn money. You got to be inspired. And I may come on even a little later because I have so many financial topics to give you guys. I'm so motivated to give you guys this information. But guess what? Information that is not executed on, information that's not being utilized, you just a fool listening to a guy talk on the internet. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'm out. Oh yeah, and give this video a thumbs up.